And are you ready?
I am.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Three Principles Global Community Webinar. The Three Principles Global Community, or 3PGC, is a nonprofit organization that is committed to bringing the understanding of the three principles as introduced by Sydney Banks to people throughout the world. And we were definitely throughout the world today. And we're just so happy to have Marina Galan. She is a three principles coach and training professional working with individuals, groups, and organizations all over the world. She sees the understanding of the mind and the exploration of the human dimension as the ultimate game changers in life. She is the founder of Tres Principias in Espanol, close enough, a multi-platform project that brings the three principles understanding to the Spanish-speaking community worldwide. She lives with her three boys in Querétaro, Mexico. You can, I hope I didn't move you somewhere else, but but there you go. And Marina, we're so happy to have you, and it is all yours.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you very much. And yes, close enough. You didn't move me. The grounding is solid, they say. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Well, I was talking to Tom earlier today, and I was telling him that the 3PGC asks us for the topic so much in advance that we sometimes forget what we were really going to talk about. So I was looking at what I had sent last night, and I was not trying to remember what it was about, but trying to regain the feeling of what it was about. And I know that you guys are going to understand exactly what I mean by that. And so this morning, I really went back to what it feels like to be absolutely lost and absolutely in despair, and when life doesn't make sense at all. And we are left bereft, I think would be a good word to describe it, not knowing where to stand or what to hang on to. So yes, when they asked me for a topic, that was a little bit how I was feeling because of different situations in my life. And it was really interesting to me to notice just to what extent I knew that things were all right, even if I could not see them, if I could not see the okayness and the wellness and the perfection in it all. And how that deep knowledge of knowing that things are working out, even if we can't see it, helped me through those times. So what do I mean by this? I think we human beings, we get very easily fooled by what we read or what we hear or what we tell ourselves, and start thinking that at some point we will find something that will allow us to avoid trouble, to avoid suffering, to avoid difficulty. And it's funny because when you start really looking into it, there is no tradition that promises that. Nobody would dare say, here, come, study this, know this, acquire this knowledge, and then I assure you, life will be smooth and perfect. And nothing bad will ever happen again. No challenges will come your way ever again. So what is it? I mean, there are some people that can promise that, but no serious tradition has ever promised anything like that. And And that gives us the first pointer to the fact that problems, challenges, and tribulations in life are a given. I mean, they are not a promise, but they are a given. Like, you can count on them. They are going to happen. Life is going to happen, and it suddenly is going to give a sharp turn to the left and leave you completely surprised and at loss. So what do the traditions, including the three principles, promise? They promise that even if you find yourself in the midst of the most unbearable difficulty, you will know something. You will know something that is true, even as all that is happening. So a few months back, when I was in the middle of all this experience of loss and feeling completely alone, I completely randomly and serendipitously, as it often happens, ran into a beautiful story about Daniel in the Bible. Daniel and three kings from a newborn Jerusalem, and Nabucodonosor, the king that is ruling the empire in that time. And he is so powerful that he builds this huge statue of himself and asks everybody to just bow down to the statue and pay their respects. And these three young, strange kings of this new land called Jerusalem, they say, no, we won't, because our God is more powerful, so we will not bow before anyone else. And so Nabucodonosor says, no, of course, there is a misunderstanding. Let me explain to you. And he tries to explain, and they still say no. And so he says he's enraged, and he asks his servants to lit up a furnace so that he can throw the three kings into the furnace. But he gives them a last chance to reconsider bowing to him. And they go away, they do a little team back, and they come back and they say, no, we won't. And so Nabucodonosor says, what, do you think your God is so powerful that he will save you from the fire? And here's their answer. Their answer is, we know that our God is powerful enough to save us from the fire, but even if he chose not to, we would trust his wisdom to make that choice. And so that left me wondering, man, what a statement. Even if he chose not to, we would still not bow down. So let me tell you the end of the story, because I know you want to know the end of the story, right? So he is so enraged that he asks the servants to make this fire stronger. And then he sends the three kings into the fire. But then he sees a fourth figure in the fire. And when the fire is over, the three kings are perfectly well, alive, and untouched. And so he asked them, I saw a fourth figure in the fire. Who was there with you? Was that your God? And so this is what the story triggered in my head. No tradition and no serious teacher can promise you that there will not be fire. but they can't promise you that they will be there with you to go through it, to love you through it. So this brings us back to the three principles understanding. I recognized that deep knowledge that things were okay, even if I could not see it, even if they were not going according to my preference, even if they were against everything I thought was positive and good. That deep knowledge was the companionship that was needed for me to go through that. Was the companionship that was needed for me to not get burned by the fire. And what I mean by not get burned is, yes, of course, the preference will burn away. The mental construct will burn away. Whatever is not needed will burn away. But I will still be there when I come out of the fire. Often people ask me, what was the first thing that changed in your life after you found the principles? And I tell them that, not surprisingly, one of the first things that changed dramatically was my maternity, the upbringing of my children. Because who doesn't want to be the perfect mother, right? We all want to be the perfect mother, the perfect friend, the perfect everything. But oh my God, the perfect mother, especially if you think your mother was not that great. Really? And so you really want to make up for that. And of course, every time we try to be perfect at something, we get ourselves in trouble, deep, deep trouble. And I was in deep, deep trouble. I thought it was up to me to form these human beings into men of good and make sure that they went on to the world to do great deeds, and everything had to be perfect in order for that to happen. And one day I realized, in a very painful way, that I could not control, let alone everything, nothing at all of what was going to happen. And that everything that I was actually doing to form them was, in one way or another, limiting them, limiting their possibilities, limiting the ways in which they could listen to wisdom. I'll give you an example. So, you know, the whole be the change you want to be in the world, you want to see in the world thing. So I wanted peace. And because I wanted peace, I said, I need to create peaceful children. This is the way I contribute to this thing. And so, of course, no guns in the house, no toy guns, no violence on TV, no nothing, right? And peace was the core value of the whole education. And soon enough, their identity as pacifists started playing tricks on them at school, specifically when they were facing bullying and things of the sort. And so they would come back and ask me, what do I do? What do I do? And I would try to give them good advice. And I would see them going to my brothers and their cousins and their grandfathers. And what do I do? What do I do? And they could not even listen to the advice because of their identities as pacifists. But more importantly, they could not listen to their own wisdom because of their identities as pacifists. So the identity I had so carefully designed, so carefully grown for them, like amazing wings, was getting in the way of them coming up with solutions for the problems they were facing. And so I realized, oh, I need to dismantle the identity now. And of course, dismantling identities It's a difficult and painful process because then you have to start throwing the ball back at them. What do? I have no idea. What do you think you should do? What occurs to you? What occurs to you when you're in a good state of mind? What occurs to you when you're confused? What occurs to you when you're angry? What occurs to you? How do you know which one works? But it's throwing the ball back at them, back at them, back at them every single time, and allowing them to connect to their wisdom and respecting what their wisdom tells them over what my wisdom tells me is good for them. And so I very quickly realized, right, so this is not about forming them. This is about discovering them. This is about finding out who they are and who they can be and allowing them to do the same for themselves. But what is my role then as a mother? As a loving, caring mother, what is my role then? And my role was to love them through whatever came. To be that companion through whatever challenge, difficulty they could face. But love them enough so that they could bring what was true for them to the equation. And so, yes, I started reflecting on this story of Nabucodonosor and the three kings. And even if he chose not to save me from the fire, and the implication of that, the result of that being the companionship through the difficulty, through the passion. And so I started asking myself, so what is your even if, Marina? Where would the limit be? Where would you take your faith in this understanding? To what extent? To what length? And so I started looking back and I started seeing, well, yeah, the understanding was there even before I knew of the understanding. Like something was being a companion to me in every difficulty throughout my life, even before I was aware of the understanding, even before I was versed in the understanding. But oh my God, does it make a difference when you know there is a companion there? So I started looking in the story to see if the three kings could also see the fourth figure in the fire. And it turns out there is no information, but I am sure they did. I am sure they did. Being grounded in an understanding, being grounded in a tradition points to exactly that. How deep do your roots go when the wind blows hard? When the storm is furious? What do you draw your strength from? What do you know to be true, even if nothing makes sense? Even if you are completely lost? Even if the storm doesn't stop and doesn't stop and doesn't stop and a new one comes? What is your even if? What do you know? What is playing the role of companionship in your tribulations? What can you rest on while the fire rages? I remember Elsie Spittle talking about deep knowledge years ago. Like deep knowledge, not something that we know intellectually, not something that we understand rationally, but deep knowledge that is unquestionable. And that does not need to be defended, does not need to be explained, does not need a reason. Like, how do you know you love your kids? Because I know. Like, there is no way of explaining it. I just know that I love them. There is no reason. Or in other words, if you have a reason to love, that's not love. That's something else. Love is unreasonable as the fire. Love is unconditional. It has to be, otherwise it's not love. Otherwise, it's an agreement, it's a contract, it's a whatever, but it is not love. So what do you know to be true, even when it doesn't look true? What do you know at that depth? And it's difficult to put into words, just like it's difficult to put into words how you know that you love your kids. It's difficult to put into words what it is that I knew as I was feeling absolutely lost a couple of months ago. It is ineffable, ungraspable. There are no words that can do it justice. It's a feeling. That's it. Have you ever tried explaining a feeling? You are left with sounds and tastes, and it's like cinnamon. I don't know, because it cannot be conceptualized. It can't. It is completely intuitive. So faith, the certainty of something, just because of the certainty of something. What have the three principles taught you that you know beyond anything, that you need no proof of? Even if anything. Man, what a gift it is to have something like that. And it is unexplainable to people that don't have it. They do recognize it though. They do see it in you. And they want it. They're like, tell me about that. I want to know what you know. Show me. Yeah. I just know. I just know. And it is not a game of evidence, because the rational mind can find evidence for anything and the opposite of that. There is no opposite of a deep knowledge. There is no opposite to faith. There can't be. the one thing that I wanted to bring to the table today is the companionship, the role of companionship that an understanding can bring to our experience. And how that companionship runs as deep as the roots of your understanding can go. And the rest it brings. There's a word in Spanish, bálsamo, the balm that you pour on, and it instantly brings relief. That deep knowledge, that companion, that understanding, that figure in the fire, if you want to call it that, whatever you want to call it, becomes our starting point, becomes our come from. And as we develop an intimate relationship with it, as we develop the roots to grow around it, to feed from it, to nourish from it. We discover that it is at the core of our being. We are just finding the point of origin. We are just finding the come from. But the image of companionship, isn't that beautiful? Isn't that something, the image of companionship? I was reading a couple of days ago that healing never happens in a straight line. And it's true. You go one step forward, 2 steps back, 3 to the side, back again. But I noticed something. Healing rarely happens alone. We always look for understanding when we are troubled. We talk to people. We want them to tell us that they understand. We want to feel heard, seen, supported. Don't we? It's a funny word, alone, isn't it? It's a funny concept. So when we say that an understanding can bring companionship to tribulations, can bring companionship through hardship, who is being the companion? To what do the principles point? Just the whole. Just universal mind, which is the core of our being, the essence of our being, the source, the starting point, the come from. How could you ever feel alone knowing that you came from, you come from, every second of your experience comes from, every thought comes from, every idea comes from. You see the companionship? It is relentless. It cannot be paused for a single second. We are part of its happening. I was reading that the word Yahweh, is Yael here anywhere? No, but Jenny is. Jenny, I was reading that the word Yahweh refers to the sound of inhaling and exhaling. It is constant. It is unstoppable, you see? It is always there. You cannot separate from it. We are spiritual beings. And I know they say we are spiritual beings having a human experience, which is a spiritual experience too. We cannot separate from it. There is the companionship of everything. There is the companionship of it. Is present. Thank you, Jenny. Is present. So even if anything, you are here, aren't you? Even if you are aware, aren't you? Even if it changes, doesn't it? It is present, isn't it? Just like, why do you love your kids has no explanation, has no reasoning behind it. Companionship has no explanation. There is no reasoning behind it. Even if I started playing with the even if, and I started making up even ifs for myself after a few days of playing with the idea. And I started telling myself, I will love my body even if I don't understand it. Even if it plays tricks on me. I will love the night, even if it brings no rest. And I want you to play with your even ifs. What would be possible for you, given your understanding, given what you know is true beyond anything? What would you be willing to do, knowing that companionship is here? Not available, but inevitable. Whatever you are going through, doesn't matter. So, even if it was not particularly agreeable to have to go back to the feelings of despair and aloneness and darkness in order to regain the feeling of what it was that I wanted to share with you. I knew that I could do it. And I knew that it would be worth it. And I knew that some of you would take something out of it. Even if it doesn't feel like it right now. What are you hearing in this? Please, let's play together.
And please feel free to raise your digital hand, which is under the reactions button. And
You see, for me, it has become a fact of, even if my thoughts seem true, I won't believe them. Alexandra,
Hi, Marina.
so good to see you.
Love you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So it's interesting because I'm always takes me a little while, but I will have more things to say much later. But what comes up immediate is the last few weeks I've been in a space of discomfort with a lot of things. And I have found, and what you're bringing forward in that companionship that is the source of everything that is me, that I was so not aware of and not even willing to engage with, actually arises when I sit in my discomfort and pain and not try to run away for it or make excuses for it or blame or argue or whatever. And so I don't know, when you were speaking, I thought, oh, I know what she's saying. I have had that experience of not calling it companionship or knowing what that is, but just thinking that as I sit with it, there's a deeper letting go or a deeper presence, or there is the wisdom, or what I need arises. Hadn't thought of it as companionship, and I really think that's wonderful.
I love what you're bringing to the table, Alexandra, because I think one of the things that most scares us about hardship is aloneness.
Yeah, but what if you think that aloneness is what was normal your whole life?
Right.
And you start discovering, oh, it's not.
Exactly. It never was. I made it up.
Yeah, I made it up.
I made it up.
Oh, that's awesome, Marina. Thank you.
And what you're also bringing to the table, Alexandra, is when I sit with my discomfort. And I'd like to talk a little bit to that, if that's okay. May I? Okay. There is a wisdom to the broken heart. There is, okay, this is the way the way it looks to me. So when we allow ourselves to feel, we get information from the feeling that cannot be understood by the rational mind. But our system gets that information, integrates that information in the system, again, not rationally. But that information breaks our heart open, it opens it up, we become more human, we become more compassionate, we grow in ways that we cannot grow intellectually, right? So Sid has always pointed relentlessly to the fact that the information is in the feeling. Yes, but when we hear information, we want to decode it rationally. We can't. The rational mind does not speak feelings. Yes, it's a language it doesn't have. We cannot even talk about them rationally. But when we allow ourselves to feel, we get that information. And that information will always point us back to wisdom. Always point us back to well-being. The thing is that, of course, we fear that it's going to go on forever and then we will not be able to come back to well-being. But it has its course, you see? Every feeling has its course, and the system must bring you back. especially if you get the information and especially if you're doing willingly. You are walking into the fire. The Sufis say, no, stay in the fire, come closer to the fire, let it burn away what is not necessary. And I don't know about you or Alexandra or the rest of you, but oh my God, does it feel like burning, doesn't it?
Yes.
Like physically, it feels like burning. And of course, we want to run away as fast as we can, as far as we can. But then we would miss the information. We would miss the wisdom of a broken heart. Like as mothers, we always want to avoid problems for our kids. Yes, let them have the perfect life. Have you seen what happens to kids that have the perfect life and whose parents take care of everything for them and have no difficulties? They become little brats, because I'm not going to use bad words today. Do we really want that for our kids? No. We want them to have difficulties. Not too many, not too hard. We don't have control over that. But we can love them. We can be a companion to them through it. But oh my God, do we learn through difficulty? Yes. Do we learn through hardship? Not rationally.
Yes.
But we get the information that we need. The system gets the information that it needs.
And in that way, we have companion. That's our companionship.
Exactly. Wisdom's there. Wisdom is in the feeling.
Yeah.
So surrender to the feeling. Give yourself to it. Allow it to inform you. You're not alone in it. The whole system is in it with you. Yes?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Alexandra. Thank you for bringing that to the table. Hey, Walter.
Hey, Marina. Thank you very much. I'm new at this, so I was going to ask, when you spoke about companionship, and I think Alexandra just kind of made a reference to it and you replied to it. I wasn't really sure what companionship to whom or to what. I was thinking maybe from other studies that I've carried out, companionship to the source, companionship to the love we come from. I just kind of want to clarify that.
The $1,000,000 question, right?
Yeah, because I mean, I understand what you're saying and what we have to go through in order to grow up and sensitize ourselves to whatever we need to, but I'm just not completely there.
Okay, so have you felt alone when you have gone through hardships?
Yes, of course.
Yes. Okay. You made it up.
Mm-hmm.
You're not alone. The whole system was with you because the whole system is what is going on around you, in you, and through you. So in the 3 principles, and I am going back to basics here, guys, because yes, Walter is brand new to the understanding. In the 3 principles, we point to the intelligence behind life. So there is intelligence in nature, and you can see it everywhere. And in pretending that the intelligence that we see guiding nature is not guiding us is somewhat preposterous. So the roots of trees are being guided towards humidity, and the branches of trees are being guided towards the light. And I have never, ever, ever seen rooster confusing its mating dance and doing the dance of a hummingbird for mating. They each know what they have to do and when they have to do it. They don't do their mating dance to make it rain. They do it to mate. There is a guidance, there is an intelligence in the system. And we tend to separate ourselves from the system. And so we try to understand it, we try to control it, we try to manage it one way or another. No. It is the same fabric. We are within the system. And so we are being guided. And in that guidance, there is companionship.
Okay, thank you.
Does that make sense, Walter? Does that answer your
Yeah,
question?
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And in our efforts to control everything and manage everything and understand everything, we often miss that guidance. And so we overlook that companionship. And we feel alone. And we feel lost. And we feel despair. Hopelessness. But that is only possible from the illusion of separateness, from the illusion of it is me and everything else. When you do not take into account the universal mind that is everything and it's happening, that is playing through you and everything else, moment to moment to moment, and therefore is with you in the fire. When we are not in the fire, we don't seek companionship always, do we? It's like, yeah, we can do. But then again, in times of joy, we also seek companionship because we want to share. Yes, we want to share the joy. We want to share the good news. We want to share abundance. But it's always there. Even if whatever you bring to the table, it's like having the winning ace up your sleeve, no? Da 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 da. Yes, but I have this ace here. Yes, but da da da. I know, but look, I have the ace here. Impossible. And knowing that it is with you in the fire changes everything. Because it allows you to rest. It allows you to trust. It allows you to wait. It allows you to allow. And there is immense freedom in that. Thank you, Walter. Hey, Jenny.
Hey,
He is present. Yes.
yes. I'm going to give you back your words in Hebrew.
Yes. Perfect.
Just let you know how beautiful you are and what you're giving today. So the word alone is in Hebrew levad,
Levat.
and the word levad and the word separate is the same letters, just mixed.
There you go.
So when we separate, we feel alone.
Thank you.
And the wisdom of accepting is called Kabbalah, which is allowing. And we were talking about allowing ourselves being guided, being present, being.
Perfect. Thank you for that. You see, wisdom, presence, allowing, it's all connected. Don't you just love words? God, I love words.
Beautiful. It's just beautiful, and watching, understanding, and wisdom and building are 4 words that are built from the same 3 letters, just when we mix them.
I'm so glad you're here today. I'm so glad you're here today. Thank you. Thank you for that. You know, I was having a conversation with one of my kids a couple of months back, and we were talking about words and the origin of words. And we were trying to imagine what it was like making up words when there were no words, right? So imagine that there are no words and you want to say something. It cannot be random. I mean, really, do the exercise, guys. Please, I beg you, do the exercise. You will realize that you need to go to the feeling in order to find a sound. You must. It's impossible to just make it up like that. You have to go to the feeling. And then the word comes. And the sound comes. And the form comes. You see the game between the formless and the form? But in that game between the formless and the form, back and forth, there is companionship. There is the understanding. There is the inescapable presence of universal mind. Inescapable guidance of wisdom. It is not something you can connect to and disconnect from. It is not a switch that can go on and off. It can't. Like, oh yes. Oh, no, not now. It can't. The thing is that your personal thinking is allowed, and that is where the game gets a little bit complicated. Your personal thinking is allowed. But it wouldn't be allowed if it were not trusted, you see. Now, not only is it allowed, but it also brought a feedback system to tell you when you are using it to your advantage and when you are not. When you are using it aligned with wisdom and when you are not. So yes, it is allowed because you're free, but there is a guidance, there is an invitation back to alignment. There is an invitation back to presence, back to faith, back to rest, back to trust, back to companionship, back to togetherness, even if. Isn't that beautiful, Jenny? And when you see the beauty of the system and just how all-encompassing it is, my God. Now, mind you, since there is guidance, there is a direction, yes? Because what are we being guided towards? So the question behind the whole thing would be, what is wisdom up to with us? What is wisdom up to? But because, and since we see that it is always guiding us back to well-being, peace of mind, presence, rest, joy, celebration, then it must be guiding us towards that. You see, it must be guiding us towards our best version, the best version of everything that is, which is already here, but because it is a happening, it is unfolding. It is not that the best version is somewhere in the future. It is that the best version is this, and from this best version, this can bloom, this best version, and then this one, and then this one, even if it doesn't look like it. Even if our tiny personal human mind cannot see it, cannot comprehend it, cannot grasp it. Because our tiny personal human mind is just one point of view. Localized. And universal mind is never localized. It takes everything into consideration. And every point of view. Even if. But it is fun to play with our own personal even if. Like I will love my body even if I don't understand why it is growing this way. I will learn to love my personal mind even if it plays the trick of separation and aloneness on me. I will love the fire, even if it burns. Thank you, Jenny. Questions, comments, criticism, self-criticism, opinions, bring them on. Advise even.
Well, Marina, I want to say I love the even if because it's so playful, or it can be.
I know. It can't be. Because it sounds a bit doomy, no? Even if. No. It's playful. Absolutely.
Well, I think we have Walter again, and then Yvonne.
Perfect. Come on, Walter.
So Marina, and thank you, Tom. It's a matter of trusting, letting go, and love. Is that the way you would abbreviate what you've explained?
Trusting, letting go, and what else? What was the third one?
Love.
Well, I would say love, because love kind of engulfs trust and letting go, doesn't it?
Well, not necessarily, but I mean.
Well, it depends on your understanding of love.
Mm-hmm. But definitely letting go and trusting. And by loving, I mean loving yourself and loving the circumstances, regardless of what they are.
Yes.
What you were saying, even though I may get burnt by it, even though I may get whatever consequences that may not seem positive in lieu of the light.
Yes.
Of the perspective that I have.
Yeah. I don't remember who the author of this quote is, but it says, if you knew who walks with you in times of darkness, fear would be impossible.
Mm.
So it's love, it's trust, it's surrendering, but it all comes from an understanding, from a deep understanding of what is.
Thank you.
Thank you, Walter. Hey, Yvonne,
Hey, Marina.
I have loved your smile throughout this time. Thank you.
Yes, but I just wanted to say it was so beautiful what you've talked about today and what you've given, well, me, but I think everyone. So words are not enough, but it's the first, maybe the first time I really got into the feeling of it. And I remember when you did the Dutch talk, I said to you, you know, I really love that you talk about playfulness and that you have to show up in life. And you did it again now, but this time it got even deeper, and my trust, my trust was so, yeah, I trust, I don't know, yeah, that's it. I can't say anymore because it's the feeling of trust that was there all of a sudden. And also, well, also looking back in my life, I could feel your, well, the pain and the hardship you were talking about. I could feel you were, you know, my English is not good enough, enduring that, and still you radiate this feeling. And looking back in my life, I think, yeah, it's true. You learn from, there always was something there. I didn't see it. I didn't, yeah, well.
Yes, and it's funny because we look back and we see how much we learn and we are grateful for it. And we see that there was something and we are grateful for it. But when the fire shows up again, oh my God, the fear and the need to run away. And again, it is just an invitation to let go. It is what it is. Surrender to it. Even if, like, no, yes, we will choose the furnace. We will choose the furnace because we know. And my God, Yvonne, I mean, turning the furnace into playfulness,
Yeah,
that is a huge thing, right? I was playing. That's a huge overstatement. My son was trying to teach me how to play a video game over the
my daughter tried that with me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in this video game, it goes way too fast for me to understand anything, right?
Yeah.
But I make believe that I do what is going on, that I do understand what is going on. So here's the thing. I got killed 15,000 times in the game, but he had the ability to resurrect me, right? So fast. So I would get killed and he would resurrect me. I had not yet understood that I had been killed when I was already being killed again. Yes.
Yes.
And so it was like, I realized, I saw how my mind wanted to make something serious out of, oh, I died. And he was like, no, it's okay. And it was so playful, dying and resurrecting. So it's like, what if we can bring that playfulness to the fire? What if in the story of Nabucodonosor, they were not going, we will choose the fire? What if it was just so evident? You know, like, yeah, we'll choose the fire because it's okay. We'll choose the fire. Because the fire will, choosing the fire is in alignment with what we know. You see? Choosing the fire is in alignment with what we know.
Yeah, I think that's still a difficult one for me, choosing the fire, but there is more the trust that if there is a fire.
Yes, but you see,
I won't be
when
alone.
there is a fire, you better choose the fire. You see? Because otherwise you enter conflict with reality, and that is a whole other game. Disagreement with reality is a painful game.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, the word choosing was difficult for me. I think accepting. It's more that you can accept what is.
Whatever word works for you, Raymond.
But thank you very much for today.
Thank you. Thank you very much for coming to the arena and playing for a little while. I really deeply appreciate it. Wonderful. Hey, Bevan. Your mic is closed, Bevan. You're muted.
There you go. Sorry.
Thank you.
I'm sitting here. When you speak, I drop into silence and I don't want to disturb it. And the Sufis have a saying, speak if it's true, if it's necessary, and if it's kind.
Yes.
And I felt that I wanted to come out of the silence and thank you for talking about jumping in the fire, trusting the fire. I work with victims of crime and they're often in fire when I connect with them. And recently a family lost their 10-year-old son. And at first I thought it was suicide and then it wasn't. And I kept reminding myself to not be afraid of my experience working with them. As I went with them into their grief and they're struggling to make sense of this loss. And I just had to be willing to be in the fire with them and to be in the silence as well. So thank you for talking about being in the fire.
Oh man, that touches me so deeply, Bevan. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that, because those of us who are in this line of work, we often run into clients whose circumstances are daunting in different ways. So choosing to be the companion in the fire, choosing to bring companionship in the fire. Oh God, that is unbelievably brave. Thank you. Thank you for everything you do. I was yesterday afternoon, I was talking with a client and I was remembering a conversation I had a few years back with one of my mentors in which he asked me, is there any type of client you would not be willing to work with? And I said, of course there is. Of course there are clients I would not be willing to work with. And where I used to draw the line was child abuse and pedophilia. And after a brief discussion, what he taught me was that you don't change the world by helping only the good ones. You don't change the world by helping only the ones that you think are not that bad. You have to be willing to help everyone. And that reminded me of a quote by Victor Hugo that says, who in 2000 years has prayed for Satan? Who in 2000 years has prayed for the one that needed it the most? And that discussion really questioned what I was up to in the world. It really questioned what I was up to in the world. And again, it's just that the fire looks really scary, or we are very judgmental against a certain type of fire. But it's us, it's on us, nowhere else.
On several occasions, I've challenged myself, can I forgive Putin and Hitler?
There you go.
And sometimes I can, and sometimes I can't.
Yes, me too. Yeah. And again, it's okay, because you will be in different places at different times. But knowing that it's on you is what makes a difference. And knowing that it will change is what makes a difference. Now it's like, oh, look at me today. I am being rather generous in my forgiveness. And then other days I'm not.
Years ago, I had a tattoo put on my wrist that said, "This too will pass," in bright red ink.
There
And
you
for
go.
10 years, I had this tattoo that said, "This too will pass." Slowly, it faded until I had an orange tattoo that said, "This ooh will ass." And then finally, finally, the tattoo has totally disappeared. So yeah, it's
Oh
all
my God, that
impermanent.
is the
Even
best
the
tattoo
permanent,
story I have ever heard.
even the permanent is impermanent. So my family laughs, and they all want to get this ooh will ass tattoos.
Of course. Oh, that's perfect.
Hmm.
This ooh will ask, even if.
It was done with permanent ink. Anyways, thank you for your holding the space.
Thank you, Bevan, and thank you for the silence that you bring to the space. I always enjoy your presence very, very, very much.
Mm.
Thank you. Hey, my girl, Marlene. Hi.
Hi, Marina.
Hey.
I was reflecting on what Yvonne was saying about, okay, so if the fire is, put upon me, I could be accepting of it. But I can see now that there's some advantage to, like, I wouldn't say asking for the fire, but being much more willing to step into it, knowing that there's like an opportunity there that wouldn't have presented itself if I would have played safe or avoided it or ignored it. So yeah, very, very powerful.
I love the words you're using. Played safe. Ignored it. So again, just like there is always the invitation to get out of our head and into our hearts, just like there is always the invitation to go back to alignment, back to peace, back to well-being, back to love. There is always the invitation to take that love further.
Mm.
You see?
Mm-hmm.
So we are always, they say, right? We are always in love or in an invitation to love. And an invitation to love is love. But there is also the invitation of taking it further. And like Bevan is saying, when you choose to be a companion in the fire for another, that is taking it further. And this does not mean, yes, let's all be masochists and look for suffering so that we can grow. No, there is guidance, Marley. There is guidance of when and where and why and how.
Yeah.
And you can trust that guidance. But oh my God, is it an honor to receive the invitation to be, the invitation be put on your table, on your plate and say, here, feel like joining in? You could, if you wanted to. It's not being imposed. Right? There is an amazing app. Okay. This is me doing an announcement for an app. There is an amazing app called Be My Eyes. And I have been a member of Be My Eyes for like 6 years or 5 years now. I don't even remember. So Be My Eyes is an app that connects blind people with volunteers that are willing to take a video call and help them with something. So you get a call, Be My Eyes. Someone needs your help. You can answer or not. If you don't answer, it will be send to another volunteer, to another volunteer, to another volunteer, someone will answer. And you'll find a person in the other end telling you, I am in the supermarket and I need to choose a shampoo for a specific thing. Or I am trying to find the button for the elevator or whatever. You can say yes. You can say no. It doesn't matter. But is it an honor to receive the invitation? No?
Yes.
Yes. We just love people through it, through their fire. And like our friend Ram Dass says, we are all guiding each other home. And sometimes you get the one that is home and tells the other, cold, cold, warm, warm, a little to the left. And sometimes you get to be the person that is on the other side. But if no one shows up, universal mind is still there. Around you, in you, and through you. And sometimes, I don't know if this has happened to you, Marina, but it happens all the time to me. Sometimes a bird is the companion, or a flower is the companion, or a shower is the companion, or a song is the companion. Anything can be a companion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For me, it's often the river outside my home. Just
There
go down to the river.
Just because you're lucky enough to have a river in front of your home, and now you're trying to make us all jealous because we don't have a river. Oh. Even if we don't have a river in front of our home, guys, no. Even if the depth of your understanding will guide you. Thank you, Marina.
Thank you. This has been such a beautiful session. It's yeah, I heard so many things. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you for being the companion in this fire. Hey, Judy.
Muted and then that one. Sorry.
Okay.
My heart is pounding at the idea of talking, but I wanted to share something that's been so precious to me with this understanding is the ability to be compassionate to all. So, and I'm sometimes so surprised by my ability. It blows my mind. So in 2021, my niece's son, 16 years old, was shot and killed. And when I found out, I found myself feeling compassion to the person that pulled the trigger. Because in that moment, the best that he could do was that. And I saw the innocence that to me was unbelievable. Like, you know, I kind of felt like, well, there, but for the grace of God, go I. That at his level of consciousness in that moment, that was what happened. And I just wanted to share that, even that possibility, but also in regards to, it's too late for Hitler, but in regards to Putin, I just hold hope that who knows, in a moment, he might have an experience, you know, a new fresh thought that leads him to do something different. And that can happen for any of us. So yeah, I just wanted to share, like, sometimes I'm startled at the protectiveness of this understanding.
Judy, what you're bringing to the table is invaluable. Because it is true, it makes us deeply capable of love and compassion. Understanding is what makes us capable of love and compassion. And here's the beauty of part of what you just shared, Judy. You being able to feel compassion for that person speaks volumes of the human capacity, but it speaks volume of where you are right now. And you say it's too late for Hitler, but it's not about Hitler, it's about you. Because when you experience compassion, he doesn't experience it, you get to experience it. So you are being responsible for your state of mind, your state of consciousness. You are being responsible for the state of consciousness and the state of mind of the whole universe. Compassion and forgiveness belong to the ones that give it, not to the ones that receive them. Because you get to experience it. What you give to yourself first and foremost. You are experiencing compassion. You are experiencing forgiveness. And that is elevating your state of consciousness and the state of consciousness of the world. It is never about the receiver. It is always the come from, you see? Always the come from. I know a guy whose daughter was brutally raped. And he wanted to kill. And because he realized that he wanted to kill, what he decided to do was, he was a known psychologist. So what he decided to do was to find a way to work with rapists in the prison system so that he could understand. And he could stop feeling hate. He could stop feeling the need to kill. He was aware of the importance of his responsibility of taking care of his state of mind, his state of consciousness, his need for understanding, and hence compassion. You see? Our mind is creating a problem inside of us that we want to solve outside of us. It is unsolvable outside of us. It is only dissolvable inside of us. And so, no, it is never, never too late. You are here, it's not too late. Because you're here. What are you creating with your precious gift of thought? Are you creating anger? You get to feel it. Are you creating hate? You get to feel it. Are you creating love and compassion? You get to feel it. You see?
Yeah.
You
Thank
see
you
the
so
guidance
much.
and the companionship in it?
Yeah. It astounds me that I can be like that and still get blow up over some little thing.
I know, right? It's weird, this being human thing, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
I know. Funny how that works. So I will choose to remain in peace, even if my dog barks out of tune, but also even if whatever atrocity you can think of. Thank you, Judy.
Thank you.
Hey, Lily, I can't see you, but I see that your hand is up.
Hi, I thought
There
it
you
was
are.
funny. You had mentioned the app and I thought, I'm just going to get it. That sounds so good. And so I got it. And then I immediately got a call. So I had to hop off.
There you go.
And I was like, okay, well, and I answered it. And so I just helped somebody charge something. So thank you. Cause I've been just having some very low mood thinking. And when I saw this, I thought, even if, and I've just been, you know, actually just walking, that's why I'm on my phone, in such a good feeling. But so I just wanted to say thank you, because it always helps me to be a helper. And that was just a beautiful gift that that you shared that. And so if anybody, it's very easy. And I got a call, and at first I didn't know what to do, because he's like, is it charging? And I couldn't see it. And I kind of got nervous because I thought, well, I want to be helpful. And then I just settled in, and then actually he had moved back and I could finally see the lights. So I said, oh, actually stand back. And so I said, now I see the lights. I see that it's charging. And he said, okay, you know, so thank you for that. And thank you for everybody that's
awesome, Lily.
been sharing. It's been a beautiful call and a beautiful feeling. So thank you.
Thank you.
I know we're almost at time. So thank you. I'm excited for my other calls.
Yes, wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
And yes, even if.
Yeah,
even if, no matter what is going on around you, even if it looks like hell, there is one thing you can focus on around you or inside you. Even if. Thanks, everyone. It's been an absolute delight. Tom, my man.
Well, Marina, thank you so much. Even if we run out of time.
Even if, exactly.
There's always more to come. And before we say goodbye, I'd like to just tell you about next week, I believe. Let's take a quick look. Next week on the 13th, 2 p.m. Eastern time, we will have Lori Karpanis.
Ooh, don't miss that, guys.
Guess what she's talking about? Being single and happy.
There you go. Perfect. Even if.
Even if you're single, you have a companion. I hope we didn't give away her whole talk, but I'm sure she'll have meant so much. But thank you so much, Marina. Thank you, everybody who's here, whether we saw you or heard from you. You all created this with us. So thank you so much. And I think we can unmute everybody, or unmute yourself if you want to just say goodbye. Please.
Thank you so much, Marina. Thank you so
much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
you.
much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thanks again.
Thank you, Tom.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Until next time.
See you next time.